What is up with guys always being mad at single mothers? Like, I think it's so weird when men are like, all these women are single moms. Like, she didn't just like become a single mom by herself. Like, there was a man involved in that equation too. So why is it always like the woman's fault she's a single mother? I don't think that anyone really enters into a relationship or into a pregnancy at least anticipating that they're going to be a single mother or wanting to be necessarily. But there's always, there's most of the time there's a man involved in the equation too. So someone left her a single mother, but he doesn't get the heat like a woman does. So I don't know. That just pisses me off, honestly.
Personally, I don't pay much attention to TikTok, but this chick right here, KK, whatever, I forget the number that she uses for a name. I think her name's Michelle, but I could be wrong. So if I get it wrong, it's no big deal. So I'm going to refer to her as Michelle, right? I mentioned in the video that I made about her that I knew sooner or later it was going to come out about her that she's a single mom and she's like 35 or something. She has a son and this, that, and the other, right? Now she's trying to shift the talking point to blaming men for there being so much single motherhood, right? Now, first of all, I want to point out that while she is correct that it takes two to make a baby, the simple fact is that most of these women are getting pregnant before they're married. There's a saying that you should marry before you carry. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Because when you're married, chances are you vetted the person that you're having children with, number one. So if you vetted this person, then that means that you should be able to marry this person and deliver a baby. Now, I'm not talking about this bullshit that they keep pulling where they get pregnant towards the marriage. Well, guess what? If you get pregnant and deliver a baby before the marriage, there's always the possibility that the man may see something in you he don't like no more, or he may go out and cheat with somebody else, and that will completely ruin the entire thing. So now you're left trying to get an abortion or some nonsense like that. No, you marry first, you stay married for a while, maybe a year or two, then you get pregnant. But y'all can't handle that because y'all are so quick to be dropping these babies, multiplying like ants. And then you get left by some dude who may have decided, you know what? It was a good lay, but I don't want to marry her. No, your job as a woman is to be the gateway to birth, period. In most of these developed countries, you control who has sex for the most part, and you control who gets born. That's the reality, but y'all trying to shift the blame. And then you got these women around, these reproductive abusers running around having children left and right with all of these bums, these rappers, Nick Cannons of the world, and y'all think that shit is cute. Y'all think, oh yeah, well, I'll just have a baby because he's not going to marry me and I'll just be on child support. His child support, he'll be paying me for the next 30 years or 20 years or 18 years or whatever it is, and then I'll demand alimony. Yeah, y'all are reproductive abusers, and the courts should have addressed this situation of reproductive abuse. Because first of all, there's two main types of reproductive abusers I've spotted. Number one, you've got these women who are hypergamous, and they know that the men don't want them for anything more than sex. So what they'll do is they'll get pregnant, and they'll end up on his child support roll, and he'll be sending them checks. Nick Cannon's got to send $3 million a year to his baby mamas. Kanye West got to send $200,000 a month to Kim Kardashian, and she's a billionaire while he's losing all his deals. That's in that case, it's not reproductive abuse because she was married to him and then he went crazy. But in some of these women's cases, no, they're getting these children thinking that, yeah, they'll just have children. They'll get on this child support roll to support the bastard. And then what they'll do is they'll try to find some simp to wife them up later. That's the reason why they hate passport bros. The reason they hate passport bros is because passport bros were their plan B. And they ain't no plan B no more because these bros are getting their passports. They go into other countries. They are finding good, meaningful relationships with new, fresh wives that are younger, that haven't had time to ruin their lives being hypergamous. That's the reason why they mad. That's why they mad. Their plan B said, guess what? We're not taking the last guy's sloppy seconds. We don't want to be stepdads. Being a stepdad is like financing another man's orgasm. We're not doing it. But guess what, guys? That's not the reason why I'm making this video. Because the thing about it is I went in her DM and I pointed out the fact that she used my video and responded to it. And she's trying to, oh yeah, well, they're obsessed with me. It's like, you know what? She's just showing you just how conceited and vain she is to think that because she put her mouth into this passport bro situation, she's showing you that she put her mouth into it, and now she's trying to make up all the reasons why the clout chasing that she's doing is justified. And then very well, listen, if she wants to talk about it, good for her. The thing about it is don't call people, what is it called? Don't call people obsessed with you because you put your mouth into a situation and now either some of them are attacking you or you've got some of these losers in your DMs simping up to you, talking about how they want to get in your pants so that they could be your baby's stepdaddy. But listen, that's besides the point. So I'm going to stop talking about her. What I need to talk about right here is the situation that's going on specifically in the Philippines, because at the end of this video that she made, she throws shade at the Filipina P. Oh, she's not even that cute. We'll get to that in a minute. But this is one of Filipina P's videos, and she specifically asked, how do Filipino men feel about foreigners? Are you hated? Are you liked? Do they resent you? Now, this video that she made got about 84,000 views. So it didn't do as well as the video that she made where she basically attacked these black women TikTokers and these white women TikToker feminists, these morons. This video didn't get as many views, mostly because there were men in it. Had this been her video that she's made where she has women, it probably would have gotten more views. In fact, the other video that she made had only 25,000 views, where she was talking about, it says, want a Filipino looking for a Filipina, ask Filipino men first. And she got these Filipino dudes to talk about Filipino women. So you see this picture of these dudes? This is Filipino men, what they look like in their country. And having been to their country, yeah, this is what they're like in their country. So I just want to point out something that this one right here had to say, because this stuck with me. I never knew if I was actually going to report on it or if I was going to say anything on it. And I never imagined that the passport bros were going to blow up like they did. They blew up beyond blowing up. They supernovaed like a star. Passport bros are winning. Not only that, come 2023, we're going to do it up so big. We're going on these lavish vacations. We're going to go all over the world. Lavish vacations. It's going to be beautiful and everything. You'll see.
We get pregnant by bum-ass motherfuckers who act like they're fucking rich.
Exactly.
Not that it matters if you're rich. That does not matter at all. But don't get a girl pregnant if you can't afford to have a baby.
Or if you're just gonna disappear.
Pull out.
Or act
Please
like
pull out.
the father. Period.
Please pull out.
Don't save it.
But why do you choose the wrong man all the time? Why do you choose the man that's gonna play with you
I
and
feel like
disappear?
you're being rude.
So wait.
We would say PINA ANGKAN.
Yeah.
Or like they make the women pregnant, but then they don't take responsibility. And
They
then
do the Houdini.
yeah, they
thing.
do Houdini, like where's your dad and something like
Yeah.
that, which is
The disappearing act.
the disappearing act, which I think is it's a very negative trait that, although it does happen with others, but then I still see it here with us Filipinos.
Okay, so did you hear what he just said? Let's go back. The Filipinos, now mind you, I've lived in Quezon City, which is Manila, Metro Manila. It's a city. It's not really a city, but it's an urban sprawl that's to the northeast of Metro Manila. And I've stayed in Quezon City for extended periods of time, right? So I've been in Metro Manila, but I think I was in Makati for a little while. And then I went up to Quezon City. Because, see, my thing is I'm a city boy. I like the city because I'm a New Yorker. So the city has certain aspects that I can't give up. Like if I want to go to the bank is right there down the block. The mall, the S&M Mall, the Trinoma Mall, it's right there. I could walk to it, or I could take a cab to it, or I could take whatever. I could get to certain things that I like about the city. But I want you to see what he's talked about. It's called PINA ANGKAN, shoot and scoot, leaving a pregnant woman behind. So let's just understand something right here, because there's a lot of these BBWs and these TikTok strags, and they've been making these propagandist videos because what they're trying to say is that American men and passport bros are predators, and they're trying to make these women servants, and they're saying all this stuff. Now, my way of attacking their argument is to repeat their argument so everybody can see it, and then to shoot it down piece by piece. The simple fact of the matter is, now mind you, these are Filipino men. A lot of Americans go to the Philippines for wives. They're not going there just for sex tourism. Now, it's easy for you to look at the Vice documentary, City of Angels and Angeles City, without understanding the context that they actually had a city where sex tourism was rampant. Similar to even in America, how if you go to Nevada, you go to Los Angeles, certain parts of this country, they're literally trying to make prostitution legal right now. They've already made marijuana legal. And now they're trying to make prostitution legal, and they're trying to do it state by state because these women think this shit is cute. They think that they can be prostitutes, and they think that they can sell themselves, and they think that that later on in life when they have no money, they think that men should just forgive them for their nasty, disgusting past and wife them up. It's not going to happen, folks. It's not going to happen. Just like President Trump would say, it's not going to happen, folks. Not only that, when they're doing this so that they can make this money, they're doing the OnlyFans, they're ruining their reputations. Need I mention Mia Khalifa? They're ruining their reputations. They think this is cute. It's not cute. Most men worth their salt aren't going to play into it. They are going to get their passport. They're going to go to a foreign land with a country with people who have a respectful tradition, and that's where they're going to get wives from. This issue right here is something that's relatively new. Now, here in America, you may have heard that we've got men who basically they call it pump and dump. Now, when they say pump and dump, they say, oh, yeah, well, I'll meet with a chick and I'll have sex with her, but I'm not marrying her and I don't want a relationship with her, right? Well, the Filipinos got this one. They got it called PINA ANGKAN, shoot and scoot, which is the same as pump and dump. So basically, it's almost like you using your Google Translator. If you typed in pump and dump, then it's not going to understand what pump and dump is referring to. But this is what they're doing. PINA ANGKAN, shoot and scoot. Now, this is the Filipino men, some of them, and these are usually the younger Filipino boys who haven't come into manhood yet, and they can't support a wife. And they can't support a family. So what ends up happening is they're, teenagers, they're having unprotected premarital sex. And one thing I have to point out about Filipinos, and you'll look it up. You can look it up. I could look it up right here. They are, in many cases, especially if they're from the rural areas, they are, what's the word? I must be tired because it's late. They are superstitious about using birth control. Now, I've gone on Filipina P's channel a lot of times, and I said, yeah, listen, the problems that you have in the Philippines are mostly caused by the fact that you have a Catholic religion overarching the country, and the problem is the people aren't following it. First of all, they disallow divorce, number one, and then on top of that, they disallow abortion. So the women who are getting pregnant can't simply get an abortion. There's no welfare state in the Philippines. The Philippines is a matriarchy, but their welfare state is minimal. There's always going to be some level of a welfare state because the government's health relies in them having children. The government of the Philippines doesn't mind having all these extra people and these people being outsourced for work. So poverty for them is keeping that government afloat. These people go out, they go to other countries, Dubai, Qatar, whatever. They work, they send money back to their family. That's a remittance. The Philippine government charges all types of fees and little taxes on remittances. But here's the problem, though. You have a matriarchy there because you have a rise of single mother-led households. The same thing has happened here in America. You've got women who get married to men, have children with them, and then at the slightest sign of trouble, divorcing them. So If they're the head of their household now, then technically that's a matriarchy because now those women are single moms at the head of their household. What did the women say? All the ladies independent, throw your hand up in the air. All the ladies get Mercedes, throw your hand up in the air. Charlie, how your angels get that like that? Tell me how your angels get that. They think this independent woman bullshit, they think this is cute. They think that being an independent woman, having a single mother household, if the man doesn't do exactly as he's told, they think this shit is cute. So they're dropping these babies, and I'm talking about here. They're dropping these babies, divorcing the men. The men are having to fight them through court and this, that, and other for custody and this, that, and other. And the sad thing is, the way the laws are made in this country, they're obviously made against the men, and they treat the woman as the primary caregiver, right? So America is falling right behind what's happening in the Philippines. Now you have young men who don't want to marry these women. They don't trust them, for one. They don't want to have a relationship with them beyond the sex. In the Philippines, they got PINA ANGKAN. They got these young guys. Now, first of all, let's understand the economics of it. Average Filipino makes about less than $10,000 a year because of this consumer price index, CPI, right? They make less than $10,000 a year. A nice wedding, a decent wedding, costs you between $2,000, maybe $3,000 for a nice wedding, right? These dudes are not making a lot of money. They're meeting these women, they're meeting them young, and they're getting them pregnant. And once they get pregnant, unless it's like one of the village areas where they have what's called kind of like a shotgun marriage where they force you to marry her, they just basically walk away. And here's the thing. In this country, they don't have a welfare state chasing behind men and putting them on child support for 20 years. They don't have that. It may come down the line, but right now they don't have that. So what ends up happening is a lot of these women, and especially when they're younger, a lot of these women in this country, it's their culture to have their children before they're 25. That's where they start their family planning, right? So if you can't get these dudes to marry you and you're dropping babies before you're 25, all you're doing is you're continuing a cycle of poverty, right? So here's the problem, though. These men either can't afford to marry or don't want to marry, right? But now you look at American passport bros or European or British passport bros. When we go to these countries and we get a wife from these countries, our entire intention is to marry them. This is why I've always said these pathetic feminist, fake feminist strags, they're not celebrating the fact that you've got American men going to these countries and improving the living conditions for these women by marrying them. They don't want that. They are only concerned with their own reproductive capabilities, their own reproductive freedom. They think that as a man, you should be putting your money into their pockets so that they can spend it on this stupid shit like Coach bags and Birkin bags and all this nonsense and stupid shoes and their raptor claws and their fake eyelashes, their fake hair. They think you should be paying for that $500 wig. That's what they think. That's what they think. They will do anything they can to take your money from you. They will raise the welfare state higher, make more taxation, take more money from your pocket to fund them. That's what they're doing. That's what they've been doing. Here in the Philippines, they don't have that option. They don't have that option there because they don't have a well-organized welfare state. They don't have it. Because they don't have that well-organized welfare state, if they make the mistake of screwing one of these losers and they get pregnant, they're on their own for the most part. Now, granted, here's the thing. Their culture is totally different than ours. When they get pregnant and they have their kids, a lot of times they leave their kids on their grandparents. Their grandparents in their province become the parents. So it's very simple. And the Chinese kind of do it the same way too, because they have a very family-focused culture, which is something American men appreciate. What they do, woman and the man, if they get married, they have their children. They give their children basically to the grandparents during the day. The grandparents take care of the children. This way you don't have to worry about childcare. And as far as you know, your grandparents are safe to deal with your kids. So your grandparents are dealing with your kids in the province or whatever, or you're working in the city, your grandparents have your kids in the province. When those grandparents get old, the female quits her job and goes and takes care of the grandparents. Now, this is mostly how the Chinese do it, mostly. But the Filipinos, I've noticed a lot of them do the same thing in this case. Woman quits her job, she goes, takes care of the grandparents. The father of those kids, he's the one who continues to work. They live off of the father's salary. Those grandparents get older, the grandparents die. Now the parents, the father and the wife, they get older and they become the grandparents for their kids, right? So in the Philippines, and you'll hear most Filipinos actually say it, a lot of these people are having children as a retirement plan. Because think about it, if I send this dude, and you go work in Dubai or you go work in Qatar, or even if I send a Filipina and she goes to be a maid in Hong Kong, or she goes to Dubai, or she goes to Qatar, she'll be making all that money or whatever she's making in those countries, and she's remitting it back. And that is basically a retirement plan. So that's how that's how they've got it set up right now. Now, I don't believe that most of these Filipinas I don't believe they're sabotaging their own relationships. I think that their biggest problem is they have very poor sexual education. They don't have enough sex ed. They don't understand why they should be using condoms. They don't understand why they should be using prophylactics. And then they have a superstition towards such things. That's part of the reason why they have a lot of unplanned and unwanted pregnancies. But when you're dealing with men your own men, and I can't make this shit up. He's saying it. You heard him say it. Wait. Let's listen to him say it one more time. I can't make this up.
Then we abuse, we also have their bad traits. Of course, Filipinos as men, we also have our own bad traits. Like, I've seen a lot of cases, the abuse, just like, in Bisaya, we would say PINA ANGKAN.
Yeah.
Or like they just...
There you go. So...
they make the women pregnant, but then they don't take responsibility. And
They do the Houdini.
Yeah,
So they're saying that they're getting these women pregnant, the boys are getting these women pregnant, and then turning into Harry Houdini and disappearing. Filipino women, they're not dumb. They understand that they understand that feminism has basically ruined America and that our family structures are falling apart. So these Filipinas are actively recommending themselves to meet American men. Actively recommending themselves to do it because they know American men are going to marry them. And the level, because see, women basically make it like everything men do is abusive, right? They basically say that bullshit, and we're stupid enough to allow them to get away with saying that nonsense because a lot of you guys are fucking simps and betas. But I'm not going to go there right now. I'll go there in another video. The bottom line is, she doesn't have to do as much to keep that American man happy as she'd have to do for one of these dudes. And these dudes have a high likelihood of cheating on her ass. They have a very high likelihood that even if she does everything right, they're going to cheat on her. The American men, by the time they come there looking for women and looking for wives, they're so worn out until, for the most part, they ain't cheating on her. She'll be their sexual partner. She'll cook for him, clean for him, and all he's going to do is just go out, work, and bring home money, and that's it. And that's it. That's all that this planet has in store for you. You're going to be the breadwinner. You go out, bring home money, and she's going to feed you, fuck you, and tuck you in at night, and that's it. After y'all had the sex, you're in a deep coma, and you go to sleep, and she tucks you in. That's all this world is basically. This is all they have in store for us. You don't even have decent jobs. Elon Musk is firing half you motherfuckers right now. You don't even have decent jobs. This is all you have in store for you. So these dudes are like, yeah, I don't even want to marry this chick. I'm going to PINA ANGKAN. I'm PINA ANGKAN. I'm shooting and scooting. Pumping and dumping. That's what they've got. You heard it from, he told you. So these women trying to make it look like, oh yeah, it's all our fault. It's all the men's fault. Well, guess what? The men didn't open your legs for you, and the men didn't divorce themselves, and the men didn't force you to carry a pregnancy to term. Because here, unlike in this country, we don't really have that option here. In this country, they got that Catholic law which wants them to be walking around pregnant. That's that Catholicism. They have laws that are perpetuating their own poverty. Things are getting better. I would also argue that things are getting better in the Philippines, mostly because of the Chinese. The Chinese came there. They're giving them all of this inexpensive stuff because, as you know, China basically is the world's factory. And it's allowing them to live a slightly higher quality of life. And it's not costing them an arm and a leg because the Chinese have lowered the quality of their product to meet this market. When you actually live in the Philippines and you go into their stores, you go into their malls, you see it right away. The Chinese have basically helped build up the Philippines. They're planning on building railways to make it so it's easier to connect the provinces to the cities, which are further away. And by doing that, they'll make it so that young women specifically have a better quality of life because instead of being in their province and not having much to do besides picking coconuts and farming, they'll be able to get on a train and they'll be able to go over to the city and they'll be able to improve their life. And I know there's a lot of people who get triggered when I talk about the little good that China's doing. But if you get triggered, I don't give a goddamn. See, that's one thing they don't tell you in college when somebody raised their hand. Oh, I'm triggered. See, the other person, because there's a professor there, they don't say, yeah, well, I don't give a fuck. What they do is they say, oh, yeah, well, I'm sorry that I used triggering language. I'll try not to let it happen again. Instead of just saying, listen, if you're fucking triggered, take your fucking bag, get the fuck out. They don't do that. They don't do that because the professor's right there, so you can't really do that. But everybody gets triggered when you start telling the truth. But guess what? The truth shall set you free.
Because the mother is the one who stayed. The mother is the one with the responsibility. And then they get all the heat for being the parent that actually stayed and does 95% of the caretaking. Yeah, that's what I mean. Where there's a single mom, there's a single dad, or like a sperm donor a lot of times. So, but yeah, it's like a lot of men like to like insult women for being single mothers. I don't get that. I never even considered myself a really like hardcore feminist, but there's some things I'm just like, I don't know.
Now, as this chick is South Korean, I feel it appropriate to talk. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. She's a South Korean female who's been adopted by whites. And apparently her life now is starting to resemble the life of a white woman in America. And she found herself being a single mom. Now, we still haven't seen the whole truth come out about her. Because she's on TikTok, it probably won't be that long before somebody docks her and puts a photo of her and her hubby or boyfriend or ex-hubby or whatever it is. But okay, Al Jazeera did this slight story. You can read it yourself. I'll leave the link. The stigma of being a single mother in South Korea. Unwed mothers are invisible here in Korea, but individuals are coming together to help each other. Says Seoul, South Korea. On the first day of the Lunar New Year, the year of the dog, Jong Soo-jin and her daughter ride the cable car up Nam Sam Mountain in the city's central Yongsan district. You know what? I did this myself. If you watch my video where I went to Korea, I rode that cable car. And if you watch that video, you'll see it. I actually did it. It's amazing. I love being a passport bro. I've traveled to these places. I actually know what this place is. Let me tell you something. That was a lot of walking, and that shit was exhausting. But if you watch my video, you'll see. So anyway, 7-year-old Ah Jong twirls her flowered hanbok, a traditional Korean dress, encircling her in a cloud of pink tulle and bedazzled shoes shimmering in it. Okay, listen, I'm going to get right on to the point. It says Ah Jong and her mom, are not going to celebrate with family, but with a group of women and children who, mostly like them, have nowhere else to go. This holiday program is organized by the Korean... They got a goddamn organization. It's called the Korean Unwed Mothers Families Association. KUMFA. KUMFA. The word is KUMFA. Y'all, when you watch my channel, you learn shit. KUMFA. KUMFA. Okay, and offers family to those who've been cast out to varying degrees from their own. This year, around 30 single moms and their children are visiting from around and beyond Seoul. In a country where unwed mothers are derided and ostracized. This is more than a simple celebration. It's a public announcement. They refuse to be silenced or shamed. I'm an independent woman. Unwed mothers are invisible here in Korea. Zhang, a 37-year-old family support center coordinator from Suwon, told Al Jazeera. But we are courageous and we are strong. We deserve to be part of society. Here's a photo of Kim Do-kyung, 43 and mother of one. And she's the Kum-fa president right there. That's the Kum-fa president. In South Korea, Confucian culture and a hierarchical society mean that bloodlines play a dominant role in defining community. For ostracized single mothers, to be without family ties is to be a social outcast. And while it's tough all year round, it is far more painful during the holiday season. So let's just understand what's happening here. They made single moms social outcasts in order to ensure that they uphold the traditional family values of the nuclear family. So let's just understand that. America has had that shame, blame, and explain. The whole idea of shame, blaming, and explaining to women why they need to be married women, so that they actually have a husband bringing in support for their family. And so she actually has a man there taking care of the home needs. The whole shame, blame, and explain aspect has passed in America, and that's why this country's falling apart. That's the reason. You got these women, men make $1 and women only make 75 cents. Yeah, well, I have a question for you. How many times have you been absent this year? Are you telling me that these corporations and these jobs are supposed to pay you when you're not there? No, I don't think so. Listen, whatever problems you got, that's not the job's problem. The free market praises work, not work. If you're absent and you've got this leave and that leave, they ain't trying to hear that shit. It costs them so much money to train you and then replace you because you decided to get pregnant and you're taking months off. No. It's not happening, guys. Listen, folks, it's not happening, folks. In the President Trump voice, because some of y'all understand that. So anyway, government statistics show there are about 25,000 single mothers in South Korea, a figure questioned by Kumfa and the Korean Unwed Mothers Support Network, who believe there are those who do not register due to fear of discrimination. Believe it or not, in some countries, being a baby mama is actually a pejorative, believe it or not. I know America has declined our expectations so much. But yeah, in some countries, this is actually not a good thing. Okay, relatives gathered for holidays often don't want unmarried mothers attending because it reminds them that there's a black sheep in the family, said Hai Ryon No, a professor of social welfare. Welfare, there's that word. I see that word, I get mad, I get triggered. At Sungsil University. It's a real stigma to the family itself and a sign that they didn't raise the woman well. For Zhang, her most heartbreaking soul was the one she spent alone in 2011, 8 months pregnant with Ah Zhang. Well, where's the husband? I need to hear about the husband. Zhang had already split up with her boyfriend. Now keep this in mind. She split up with her boyfriend and then found out she's pregnant at 29. He denied the baby was his and refused to abort her. Now, first of all, you can't really deny the baby's yours. We have this new thing called DNA, which has, been around. And what it is you do blood testing, and the blood testing pretty much shows whose baby is what and whose baby is whose. Crushed by shame, she was too scared to face her parents or seek outside help and ended up giving birth alone. Society tells unwed mothers it's their fault and they are not responsible people, said Zhang, before adding that because of widespread cultural bias, it was difficult for unmarried mothers to maintain family relationships, find jobs. Whoa. Find jobs. Unmarried mothers finding jobs is very difficult in these countries because they don't want to hire you. Because they, for whatever that social economic reason is, they don't want to hire you. And that's just it. Free market capitalism says they ain't got to hire you. So if you decided you're going to split up with your boyfriend for whatever reason, and you're not smart enough to say, yeah, okay, I'm going to take him to court and prove that this baby's his and pin his ass down and force him. See, the bottom line is, if y'all are having the sex, you shouldn't have gotten pregnant before you got married. You had options. We've got 40 or 50 different types of prophylactics. You let him PINA ANGKAN. You let him shoot and scoop. You let him pump and dump. So who you going to blame for that? Okay, I had no confidence that I could survive as an unwed mother in Korea. Within the first month of motherhood, Zhang felt so desperate she gave her baby up for adoption. 3 days later, she reversed her decision. You can do that? Realized the only thing harder than being a single mother was not being a mother at all. To regain custody, Zhang had to bring her parents to the agency to sign a consent form and pay a fee. That's when her parents first learned of their granddaughter. My father rejected her. He insisted I had to let her live in the adoption agency because he thought I wasn't qualified to be a mother. Angry and humiliated, her father begrudgingly allowed Ah Zhang back into their family, but demanded they keep her secret. That is when Zhang went in search of a new family, eventually finding Kumfa. Kumfa was conceived by a group of single mothers who, grappling with prejudice, reached out to each other online and decided to meet and formalize their community offline. Among the founding group was Kim Do-kyung, a 43-year-old single mother of one who serves as Kumfa's president. Up until her son Tai-ho, now 11, reached first grade, Kim's parents shunned them, telling her to give away and start life over. They excluded her from celebrations and told neighbors made-up stories of her husband's working abroad, all to protect the family's reputation. For Tai-ho, who has grown up among his mom's community, it feels like his community too. When Tai-ho is bullied at school by classmates whose mothers have instructed them not to play with him or who tease him for being without a father, he turns to his Kumfa friends, Kim said. So yeah, that's the story, guys. So the simple fact is, what's her name? Michelle, that's what I'm calling her. As far as I know, that's what her name is. The thing about it is, we don't know the full story here. We don't know why they split up. We don't know what the dynamics of that relationship were. But what we do know is that this was her boyfriend and that they split up. She got pregnant with her boyfriend. If these women are going to play this game and they're going to carry before they marry, then this is something that they run into. Now, if you're married first, I think most men understand that, yes, there's marriages that don't work out. But what most of these men are not going to do is they are not going to play stepdaddy no more. Not when they have options, and they have the option to be a passport bro. So understand this. A lot of these women, just like Michelle, are mad. And they're mad because passport bros, especially, is a threat to them. Not only is it a threat to them because it's taking away their plan B, and passport bros are taking their money, their resources, their time, their energy, their finances, and everything else. Their DNA. I showed you the story a couple of weeks ago about shortages of black male sperm and how they're sending these LGBT couples and saying, no, well, you're just going to have to get white man sperm because we have a black male sperm donor shortage. I showed you that black males are less than 2% and that they specifically want black male sperm. You know what they're looking for? They're looking for men like me, 6'6", rich. That's what they're looking for. And guess what? You ain't going to get it. So the thing about it is, in this story right here, what you're seeing is the breakdown of marriage mostly because of carrying before you're married, PINA ANGKAN, because y'all want to have all this unprotected sex, you're not married, you know that there's a risk, you don't care. Okay, fine. Well, this is your life. This is what you created. See, had that been her husband, if she had decided that she wanted to divorce him, things would have been different. First of all, you wouldn't be able to deny the kid. That's number one. First, I'm telling her she should be taking his ass to court and getting that DNA test. That's number one. God forbid you do take him to court. And I want you to understand something. Before you sign that birth certificate, before you ever pay one dime in child support, you need to make sure that it's your child. Because some of these women don't want to get that DNA test because, I did my hot girl summer in the Caribbean and I might have gotten pregnant by Dexter Jackson. Now, as a black male, I can say that any woman who, who's especially not a black woman who has sex with me, if she has a kid, I'm going to know right away if that's my kid or not because the kid's going to come out black and it's going to come out with an 850 credit score. So I'm going to know right away. But when you're in Korea and everybody pretty much looks the same way, phenotype, everybody pretty much, it's hard to tell one baby from the next. And I'm not saying that racially. I'm just saying I was in Korea and most of the people, they're very similar. They dress similar. They have very similar looks. And there's not that much genetic diversity except, on the genotype level. But anyway, all I'm saying is she needs to take him to court, get the DNA test. But a lot of these women don't want to get the DNA test because they can't even be sure it's your kid. Because here's the problem. If y'all are not married first and y'all not living under the same household and she happens to be cheating, chances are that might not be your husband. That might be General Ko Sung Kim's child. I just made that name up. And she don't want to get that DNA test because the moment she find out it's not yours, not only do you embarrass her, but the court system now has embarrassed her and her family. And now her father's twice as mad. So just keep that in mind, guys. Just keep that in mind. It's time for the simps and the stupidity to end. And it's only going to end when you get smarter.
Okay, I just found that video of Filipina P, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but all these guys were saying, listen to Filipina P, she's not that cute. Or am I being a hater? I could be being a hater, but her face isn't really that cute.
The Filipina P. So the Filipina P, her channel has grown very well. A lot of foreign men are on her channel looking for dating advice for dealing with Filipinas. Filipina P does a lot. Now, I want you to notice that when she does the videos with women and they have the Filipino women, yeah, she gets lots and lots and lots of views. So Filipina P is doing pretty well. She's got 25 million views. And the thing about it is, I've lived in the Philippines. Filipina P is actually, I would say, over there, she is definitely a catch. Because I've seen a lot of the Filipinas over there. There's various different amounts of them. But the answer to Michelle's question is, yes, you are being a hater. You're being a hater. Now, I'm not going to say that you're ugly, Michelle, but what I will say is that you're a single mom. So right away, your point value has dropped. See, the thing about it is Kevin Samuels' rating system, which, most of these women are trying to forget. Kevin Samuels had a rating system where he took away 2 points. First of all, this is the scale. The scale is on a 1 to 9. There is no such thing as a 10. There are no 10s. There are no 10s. There's 1 through 9. Now, Kevin Samuels wouldn't allow women to rate themselves a 7. And he had a rating system that removed 2 points if you had a child. In my rating system, I remove all of them. So instead of -2, you get -9, which means that you automatically start out as a 0 because the answer is no. I'm not being no stepdaddy ever. Being a stepdaddy is like financing another man's orgasm, right? So bottom line is Filipina P, one thing I appreciate about her channel, and they decided to attack her based on that video that she made called Escaping the Plantation, where she was basically telling black men, black men are escaping the plantation and black women are coming after them with a vengeance on TikTok, right? But on her channel, what she does is she actually gets age gap relationships between American men or British men or Australian men who've married Filipinas, and she shows the positives or the negatives. She's very neutral when she does her channel. I don't know, is this the video where she made it with that guy? No, it's not. Okay, because there was one I was watching, and wait, let me see. This is one thing you'll notice. When these strags, when they make these videos, what they do is they purposefully obfuscate the argument. There's a tactic. Oh, here's one. It's called He Was 59 and She Was 21. So you can go on her channel. You can watch this yourself. Notice that this has 233,000 views. Because most of these older men, older men can't, in most cases, believe that it's possible for them to get women who are younger to give them a fresh start at life. They can't even believe it. But the thing about it is, now that we've got the internet, now men are seeing what their options are. And I'm not just talking about Southeast Asia. I'm talking about Europe. I'm talking about South America. Even in America, there's some men who are willing to go after younger women here because it took them a long time to achieve their wealth and status, and now they are basically starting fresh and they're getting a younger wife. Now, granted, they're probably old enough where they're not going to live to see their children hit 30, but for the most part, they're okay with that. They've come to terms with that they're older, their woman's younger, and she's allowing him to reproduce using her, and she is getting access to all of his resources. And see, the sad thing about it is, under a situation where you're dealing with capitalism, where people have to work and people have to make money and people have to adapt to an economy, under these situations, marrying somebody or dating somebody your own age, it doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't work because the men don't reach their financial and their career prime until they're like 35. But by the time they're 35, they don't want a 35-year-old wife. They want a younger wife because they see that as these women get older, their body's breaking down. They got the risk of geriatric pregnancy. See, these are all things that Kevin Samuels is bringing up, and these women thought that him dying, they thought that was going to be the end of it. They thought they were never going to have to hear this stuff again. They're going to hear this shit every fucking day now. Now, it's all coming out. You got people who've sparked up channels where you don't even know if Kevin Samuels is dead or alive. He's like Dr. Wiley and Mega Man. We don't even know if this guy is dead or alive. You still hearing his voice this many months later. But bottom line is, these men are giving these women opportunities that they obviously never would have had from their own men in their country. Real feminists would be okay with that. But these feminists are fake feminists. They're not okay with that because look at this. Look at this. Look at this guy. This guy looks like his teeth. This guy looks like Hannibal Lecter. He looks like, he looks like? He looks like Pat Buchanan, the conservative commentator on the McLaughlin Group. That's who he looks like to me. He looks like Pat Buchanan. And then look at that. Look at that. And she has a channel, Jessica K. Look at that. Look at that. And these men are realizing, wow, wait a minute, because of this internet, I got options. It's like that Jamie Foxx song. I got options. I got plenty to show. I got options. I can't sing. I'm not even going to pretend I can sing. But the bottom line is, I got options. Ooh, I got options. Ooh, I got plenty to show. I got options. Ooh, yeah, that's right. I got options. As a passport bro, you've got options. Ooh, I got options. Ooh, I got plenty to show. I got options. Ooh, yeah, that's right. That's right. What are you going to say? You can't come back from this. You can't. I got options. Ooh, look at this guy. He's got options. Look at him. So when you see Michelle and those angry TikTok strags who don't have options, like me and Jamie Foxx got options, now you understand the reason why they flaming mad.
And they're acting like Filipina P was the be-all, end-all of the opinion on going to the Philippines. I saw so many people mentioning this video that she put out or something to like promote Passport Rose coming to the Philippines, and I'm not convinced that maybe she wasn't like trafficked into doing it somehow. But
to be continued.
Like, where does the guy with the passport card think he is going?
Hi, that was me. I got the card and the book. I'll use this to go get your cousin, since she hasn't made it over here yet. Is that all right with you?
To be continued.